A story of healing before and after birth. A baby can be affected in the mother's womb because development during pregnancy is not only physical, but also highly responsive to the mother's emotional and biological state. When a mother experiences chronic stress, anxiety, trauma, or prolonged emotional distress, her body produces higher levels of stress hormones such as cortisol. These hormones can cross the placenta, meaning they can reach the baby and influence how the baby's brain and nervous system develop. Here are the main ways this can happen. Number 1. Hormonal transfer, stress chemistry asterisk. There was a quiet moment in the beginning of life when everything for the baby was still soft, fluid, and unseen. Inside the mother's womb, the baby was not separate from the world but deeply connected to it, feeling, sensing, responding to everything the mother experienced. When the mother felt calm, breathing slowly, her body releasing tension, the baby received a gentle message. All is safe. But when the mother was under stress, when her mind raced, when her heart felt heavy, when her body carried tension, another message traveled through the same invisible connection dot. In those moments, the mother's body released a hormone called cortisol. It moved through her bloodstream, and because mother and baby are connected through the placenta, some of that signal reached the baby to the baby. This was not just a hormone. It was information. It was a kind of language. The baby's developing body began to interpret that language as a message about the world it would soon enter if that message came often again. And again, the baby's developing brain began to adapt. It didn't judge, it didn't resist. It simply adjusted to survive. In the deepest part of the brain, the areas responsible for sensing danger began to become more alert. The systems that help calm the body learned to stay more on guard. The rhythm of stress and alertness started to feel familiar. This system, known as the HPA axis, the body's internal stress regulator, began to take shape based on those early signals. It was learning, even before birth, how sensitive to be, how quickly to respond, how long to stay in a state of alertness. But this was never a mistake. It was the baby's intelligence at work. It was adaptation, because the womb is the first environment. The baby's nervous system is shaped by what it experiences there. If the world feels uncertain, the system prepares to stay alert. If the world feels safe, the system relaxes into trust. And so, even before birth, a quiet imprint begins to form, not as a fixed destiny, but as a starting point. After birth, everything becomes even more powerful. Because now the baby meets the world through touch, through sound, through the mother's arms. And this is where the story does not end, but begins to rewrite itself. When the baby is held close, when skin meets skin, when the mother's heartbeat is felt again outside the womb, the nervous system remembers something ancient: safety. When the mother breathes slowly while holding her baby, the baby's breath begins to follow. When the mother calms her own body, the baby learns that it can calm too. This is called co-regulation, but it is more than a term. It is a relationship. A silent conversation between two nervous systems learning to trust each other again. Over time, the baby's brain begins to change. The stress system that once stayed alert can soften. The pathways that once prepared for danger can begin to learn rest. The story is not fixed in the womb. It continues to unfold through every moment of care, presence, and love. And so, what began as a response to stress does not define the future, because healing does not require perfection. It requires safety. Again and again, a soft voice, a steady hand, a calm breath, and a mother who, even in her own imperfections, chooses to return to presence. In that space, the baby learns something deeper than any early imprint. Asterisk that. The world can feel safe again. Number 2. Nervous system imprinting, there was a baby, still unseen, resting quietly in the mother's womb. In the beginning, everything felt soft and safe. The rhythm of the mother's heartbeat was like a gentle song, and her breath moved in a calm and steady way, creating a world that felt predictable and warm. But not every moment was the same. There were times when the mother felt stress, when her thoughts became heavy or her body tightened with worry. In those moments, something changed in the quiet environment of the womb. The mother's heart beat a little faster, her breath became shorter, and stress hormones like cortisol began to flow through her body. Asterisk, the baby did not understand these changes as thoughts or emotions, but as sensations, the language of the body. And so, slowly, the baby's nervous system began to respond. Without knowing why, it began to learn, stay alert, something is changing, be aware. This was not a conscious decision, but a natural response to repeated signals. Asterisk. Over time, if these signals came again and again, a subtle imprint began to form. Not a memory of a specific moment, but a feeling about the world itself. A sense that life might require constant attention, that rest might not always be safe, that the body should stay prepared. Asterisk, this is how the nervous system adapts. It listens, it learns, it protects. Asterisk, when the baby is born and grows into a child and later into an adult, this early imprint does not disappear. It lives quietly in the background of the nervous system. And sometimes, in moments of stress or uncertainty, it becomes more visible. Asterisk, the heart may race quickly. The mind may scan for danger. The body may find it difficult to relax, even when everything appears safe on the outside. This can show up as anxiety, hypervigilance, or difficulty calming down. Asterisk, but this is not a flaw. It is a pattern of protection. Asterisk, it is a system that once learned, this is how I stay safe. And the beautiful truth is that the nervous system is not fixed. Asterisk, through experiences of safety, through a calm breath, a gentle touch, a safe relationship, or a moment of deep presence, the body begins to learn something new. Begins to realize, I can soften, I can rest, I am safe now. And slowly, with time and consistency, the old imprint does not disappear, but it softens. It becomes less loud, less controlling, and a new experience begins to take its place. An experience of safety, an experience of calm, an experience of coming home to oneself. Number 3, emotional and energetic. Connection. Asterisk, the baby does not experience the womb as separate from the mother. It experiences it as its entire world, through a continuous connection. The mother's emotional state becomes part of the baby's environment, shaping the feeling of safety or tension in that early space. When the mother feels calm, the baby is surrounded by a sense of steadiness and ease. When the mother feels stress or emotional overwhelm, that state is also felt, not as thoughts, but as bodily sensations and shifts in the internal environment. Asterisk. The baby also responds to the mother's heart rate rhythm. A slow, steady heartbeat creates a sense of stability, while a faster, irregular rhythm signals change in the environment. Over time, the baby begins to recognize and adapt to these patterns, building an early sense of what the world feels like. Asterisk. Breathing patterns play a similar role. When the mother breathes slowly and deeply, it supports a more regulated internal state for the baby. When breathing becomes shallow or fast, it reflects a state of stress that the baby can also sense. Asterisk. Because of this constant interaction, the womb becomes the baby's first environment. It is not just a physical space, but an emotional and energetic one. The patterns the baby experiences, rhythm, emotion, and regulation, become the foundation for early emotional imprinting. These patterns can later influence how the individual responds to stress, connection, and safety in life. Asterisk asterisk. This is not about good or bad, but about adaptation. The baby learns from the environment it is in, and this early learning becomes a starting point for how it experiences the world. It is important to understand this gently and clearly. Early experiences do not define a baby's entire life, and they do not create something fixed or unchangeable within the child. Asterisk, when a baby is exposed to stress, it does not mean the baby is traumatized in a permanent way. Rather, it means the baby's system has adapted to the conditions it experienced. This adaptation may show up as a greater sensitivity to stress or certain emotional tendencies. But these are not flaws. They are simply patterns shaped by early experience. Asterisk, the nervous system of a baby is incredibly flexible. It is designed to learn, to respond, and to reorganize based on new experiences. This means that what comes after birth holds profound importance. Asterisk, through consistent love, safe bonding, and nurturing care, the baby receives repeated experiences of safety. Each moment of being held, soothed, and responded to becomes anew. Imprint, one that gradually reshapes earlier patterns. Asterisk, over time, these experiences help the baby's system feel more secure, more regulated, and more at ease. What was once unfamiliar calm, trust, and safety begins to become the new normal. Asterisk, in this way, healing is not about erasing the past, but about creating a present that is strong enough, safe enough, and loving enough to support new growth. Asterisk. And in that process, the child is not being fixed, the child is being supported to unfold into its natural capacity for resilience, connection, and well-being. Healing is not about fixing something broken, but about creating conditions where the nervous system can feel safe enough to change. It is a slow and gentle process, shaped by connection, presence, and time. How to heal wound trauma for both mom and baby. Healing wound trauma is less about fixing something broken and more about restoring safety, connection, and regulation in both the mother and baby. The focus is on calming the nervous system and building secure attachment. Here's a grounded, practical approach. For the mother, Mom 1. Regulate your nervous system. Regulating your nervous system is less about doing something perfectly and more about creating moments where your body can remember what safety feels like. When the mother feels grounded, calm, and present, that state is not just personal, it becomes the environment the baby experiences. Safety in the mother's body becomes safety in the baby's world. Slow, intentional breathing, such as gently inhaling for 4 counts and exhaling for 6, helps signal to the body that it is safe to relax. The longer exhale invites the nervous system to soften, to move out of alertness and into a more restful state. It is a simple rhythm, but over time, it can become a powerful language of safety between mother and baby. Asterisk, gentle movement, like slow yoga or walking in nature, allows the body to release stored tension in a natural way. The softness of movement communicates to the nervous system that it does not need to hold, brace, or protect all the time. Being in nature further supports this process, as the environment itself carries a sense of spaciousness and calm that the body can attune to. Meditation and body scan practices offer another layer of awareness. They invite you to gently return to your own body, to notice sensations without judgment, and to meet whatever arises with presence. In doing so, you begin to build an inner sense of safety, not by avoiding discomfort, but by learning to stay with yourself through it. Practices inspired by traditions, like Vipassana meditation, emphasize awareness and observation without attachment. This kind of awareness helps you see your inner experiences clearly, without becoming overwhelmed by them. Over time, this builds a quiet strength, the ability to remain present, even in moments of discomfort. When a mother practices these methods of regulation, she is not only caring for herself, she is gently shaping the emotional and physiological environment of the baby. The baby feels the safety through rhythm, through breath, through the subtle signals of the mother's regulated state. In this way, nervous system regulation becomes an act of connection. It is a quiet form of care, one that says, "We are safe now and we can rest here together." 2. Release stored emotional tension *. Releasing stored emotional tension is the process of allowing what has been held inside the body to finally have space to move, express, and soften. Emotions that are not fully processed do not simply disappear. They are often stored within the body as tension, as subtle holding patterns, or as a quiet background sense of unease. Over time, this can affect how we breathe, how we move, and how we feel in our daily life. Journaling becomes a gentle doorway into this inner world. When you write without judgment, without trying to edit or make things sound perfect, you begin to give form to what has been unspoken. Thoughts and feelings that once felt heavy or unclear can start to organize themselves on the page. In this process, you are not fixing anything. You are simply allowing yourself to be honest with what is present. Speaking with a therapist or a trusted person creates another layer of release. When you are truly heard, something inside the nervous system begins to relax. Being witnessed without judgment can help the body feel less alone with what it carries. In that safe space, emotions can unfold naturally, without the need to hold them back or suppress them. Somatic therapies work directly with the body, recognizing that healing is not only a mental process, but also a physical one. Practices like breathwork, tension, and trauma-releasing exercises, or gentle shaking invite the body to release tension that has been stored over time. These practices do not force release, they create the conditions for the body to let go in its own way, at its own pace. Through these approaches, the body is given permission to unwind. Muscles soften, breathing deepens, and the nervous system begins to move out of patterns of holding and into patterns of flow. This process is not about forcing emotions out, but about creating a safe and supportive space where the body feels ready to release what it no longer needs to carry. It is a gradual unfolding, guided by patience, awareness, and compassion. And with each small release, the system becomes a little lighter, a little more open, and a little to experience life with ease. 3. Rebuild safety in the body. Rebuilding safety in the body is a quiet, patient process of returning to a sense of inner trust. After stress or emotional overwhelm, the body may carry subtle signals of protection, tightness, guardedness, or a sense of being on alert. These are not signs of something wrong, but signs that the body has been doing its best to keep you safe. Healing begins when we gently create conditions or the body no longer needs to hold in that way. Self-touch is one of the simplest yet most profound ways to reconnect. Placing your hands on your belly or your heart is not just a physical gesture, it is a signal of presence. The warmth of your hands, combined with your awareness, sends a message to your nervous system. I am here. You're not alone. Over time, this simple act can help soften internal tension and create a sense of grounding from within. Warm baths. Gentle massage and nurturing body care offer another layer of support. Warm water can help relax the muscles, slow the breath, and invite the body into a state of rest. Massage and caring touch remind the body what it feels like to be held, supported, and tended to. These experiences help reintroduce safety through sensation, allowing the nervous system to gradually release its protective holding patterns. Asterisk. Gentle affirmations work not as forced positive thinking, but as soft, repeated messages of reassurance. Saying to yourself, "I am safe now. My body is healing," or "My baby is safe with me," creates a rhythm of trust within. When spoken with sincerity, these words can help align the mind and the body, slowly shifting the internal narrative from fear towards safety. Asterisk, rebuilding safety is not about rushing or forcing change. It is about creating a consistent, compassionate environment where the body can begin to relax, one moment at a time. Through these small, intentional acts of care, the nervous system starts to remember that it does not need to stay in defense, that it is allowed to soften, to rest, and to feel safe again. For the baby in womb or after birth, 1. Create a calm environment. Asterisk. Creating a calm environment is not only about what we remove, but also about what we consciously choose to invite into the space. The mother's surroundings become the sensory world that both she and the baby experience, so the quality of that environment carries a deep influence. Asterisk. Reducing loud noise, conflict, and sources of stress is a way of protecting the nervous system from unnecessary stimulation. It allows the body to come out of a constant state of alertness and gently return to a baseline of ease. In a quieter environment, the mind can settle, the breath can slow, and the body can begin to feel that it is no longer required to stay on guard. Asterisk. Soft music, gentle chanting, or even moments of silence can create a sense of rhythm and spaciousness. These sounds are not just background, they can become a subtle support for regulation. A calm melody or a steady, soothing rhythm can help the nervous system synchronize, offering a sense of harmony that the body can naturally follow. Silence, too, holds a 2. Connection practices. Connection is something the baby experiences long before words are understood. Even in the womb, the baby is not separate. It is in constant relationship with the mother's presence, sensing subtle shifts through touch, breath, and emotional energy. Because of this, connection becomes less about doing something and more about being present in a way that the baby can feel. When the mother speaks or sings to the baby, her voice becomes a familiar rhythm, something steady, something alive. The baby may not understand the meaning of the words, but it can feel the tone, the vibration, and the intention behind them. Over time, this voice can become a source of comfort, something the baby recognizes as safe and known. Placing hands gently on the belly while breathing slowly is another quiet but powerful form of connection. In that moment, the mother is not just touching the body, she is offering presence. The warmth of the hands, combined with a slow, steady breath, creates a shared rhythm. This rhythm becomes a bridge, a way for the mother and baby to meet in a space of stillness and awareness. Imagining and sending feelings of love, safety, and warmth is equally meaningful. The mind and heart work together to create a subtle emotional field, and the baby can be part of that field. When the mother intentionally holds thoughts of care and kindness, she is shaping an inner environment that the baby can sense and respond to. This is not about forcing positivity, but about gently cultivating a feeling of openness and love. These connection practices are simple, yet they carry a deep intention to create a relationship rooted in presence, trust, and warmth. They remind both mother and baby that they are not separate, but connected through something quiet, steady, and profoundly human, the shared experience of being held in awareness and care. 3. After birth. Secure attachment after birth, a new chapter begins one where healing can unfold in the most direct and powerful way. The baby, now in the outside world, carries with it early impressions, but also an incredible openness to new experiences. At this stage, what matters most is not perfection, but presence. Asterisk, asterisk, when the baby cries, it is not just expressing a need it. It's communicating through the only language it knows. In those moments, the mother's role is not to be perfect, but to remain present. By staying grounded, breathing steadily, and offering soothing touch or a calm voice, she becomes a source of stability in the baby's moment of distress. Asterisk, this is where co-regulation becomes powerful. The baby's nervous system, still developing, cannot fully regulate itself on its own. It learns through relationship. When the mother meets the baby's distress with calmness rather than overwhelm, the baby begins to internalize that experience. Asterisk. Over time, through countless small moments, the baby learns something essential, that emotions can be felt and moved through, that distress does not mean danger, and that there is someone who will remain present through it all. Asterisk, co-regulation is not about suppressing emotions or avoiding crying. It is about being with what arises together. It is the mother offering her calm as a kind of anchor, allowing the baby to borrow that sense of safety until it can begin to feel it within itself. Asterisk, in the shared process, both mother and baby are learning. And in that learning, a deeper foundation is built not just of behavior, but of trust, connection, and the quiet understanding that it is safe to feel, safe to express, and safe to be held, too. Gentle routines, asterisk, gentle routines are not about rigid schedules, but about creating a soft and reliable rhythm that the baby can feel and come to trust. For a baby, the world is new and constantly changing, so having familiar patterns, sleep, feeding, soothing becomes a quiet anchor in the flow of each day. Asterisk, when these patterns are consistent, the baby begins to recognize what comes next. This sense of predictability reduces uncertainty and, in turn, helps the nervous system feel safe. Over time, the baby learns that needs will be met, that comfort will return, and that there is a steady rhythm to life that can be relied upon. Asterisk. Sleep routines, when approached with gentleness, help the baby transition from wakefulness into rest with a sense of ease. Feeding routines offer not just nourishment, but also connection and reassurance that the body's needs are understood. Soothing routines, whether through holding, rocking, or a calm voice, become familiar signals that the baby is not alone. Asterisk. These repeated experiences form a subtle but powerful message. The world is not unpredictable, but gentle and responsive. Predictability, in this sense, is not about control, it is about trust. It is about creating an environment where the baby does not have to stay in a state of alertness, because there is a felt sense that care will come. Asterisk, skin-to-skin contact is one of the most profound ways to restore a sense of safety. When the baby rests against the mother's chest, it can hear her heartbeat again, feel her warmth, and return to a rhythm that is already familiar from the womb. In this closeness, the baby's nervous system begins to settle, as if remembering something deeply known. I am safe here. Breastfeeding, when possible, offers not only nourishment, but also connection. It is a moment where feeding and bonding come together, where the baby is not only being fed physically, but also emotionally. The act itself carries warmth, eye contact, and a shared rhythm that helps regulate the baby's internal state. Responding to the baby's needs consistently builds trust over time. When a baby cries and is met with care, when it is held, comforted, and understood, it begins to learn that its signals matter, and that it does not need to stay in distress alone. This consistent responsiveness helps shape a deep sense of safety in the nervous system. Holding, rocking, and soothing are simple actions, yet they carry a profound message. The gentle movement of rocking can mimic the rhythmic sensations of the womb, helping the baby's body relax. The steady presence of being held communicates protection, while soothing touch and voice provide reassurance that the baby is not alone in its experience. Together, these practices do more than meet immediate needs, they create a new foundation. They gently offer the baby repeated experiences of safety, which over time can help the nervous system reorganize and release earlier patterns of stress. In this way, the early imprint is not erased, but met with something new, a lived experience of safety, connection, and care. And through that consistent experience, the baby learns again and again that the world can be a place of warmth, responsiveness, and love. In the moment. This creates a feeling of being seen, held, and acknowledged. In many ways, the baby learns from your presence what it means to feel safe in connection. Not through instruction, but through experience. Your calm presence becomes a reference point, something the baby can return to, something that helps shape its understanding of the world as a place that can be trusted. And for the mother, this presence is also a return to breath, to awareness, to the simple act of being. It is not about being perfect, but about being real. And in that authenticity, something quiet and powerful is shared. A sense of safety, connection, and deep, unspoken understanding. Important truth *. There is an important truth that often brings relief when understood deeply. Babies are not damaged. They are not defined by any healing. Both together. Mother-baby bond. 1. Co-regulation. Very important. Co-regulation is the quiet, invisible dialogue between the mother's nervous system and the baby's. It is not something that is taught through words, but something that is felt through presence. In this shared space, the mother's internal state becomes a reference point for the baby, a living example of what safety feels like. When the mother is calm, her breath naturally slows, her body softens, and her energy becomes steady. Baby, sensing this through touch, sound, and subtle cues, begins to settle into that same rhythm. Without needing to understand why, the baby experiences a felt sense of safety, as if being gently guided back into balance. Over time, these gentle routines help shape the baby's internal world. They support the development of a nervous system that can rest, a heart that can trust, and a body that feels safe enough to relax into each moment. In this way, routine becomes more than structure. It becomes a quiet expression of love, offering the baby a stable ground from which to grow, explore, and gradually learn that life itself can feel safe, steady, and kind. 3. Energy of presence *. The energy of presence is something subtle yet deeply felt. It is not about doing more, saying the right words, or following perfect techniques. It is about how you are in the moment, your breath, your awareness, your stillness, and the quiet intention behind your presence. A baby does not experience perfection. What the baby feels is presence. When you are truly present, even without words or actions, your nervous system communicates a sense of safety. Your calmness becomes a field that the baby can feel, a steady background that allows the baby to relax into being. To be present is to slow down internally, to soften your attention, and to meet the moment as it is. It is allowing yourself to be there fully without rushing to fix, change, or improve. This kind of presence is often more powerful than any technique because it is real, grounded, and alive. The baby senses when you are truly there, not distracted, not elsewhere, but with your awareness gently resting in the moment. This creates a feeling of being seen, held, and acknowledged. In many ways, the baby learns from your presence what it means to feel safe in connection. Not through instruction, but through experience. Your calm presence becomes a reference point, something the baby can return to, something that helps shape its understanding of the world as a place that can be trusted. Important truth there is an important truth that often brings relief when understood deeply. Babies are not damaged. They are not defined by any single moment or by the conditions they experienced before or after birth. What they are is incredibly adaptable, designed by nature to respond, to adjust, and to grow through the environments they encounter. From the very beginning, a baby's system is learning how to be in the world. If the early environment carried stress, the baby's body may have adapted to that reality in order to stay safe. But adaptation is not limitation. It is intelligence. It is the nervous system doing exactly what it was meant to do, respond to life. And because the nervous system is adaptable, it also holds the capacity to change. Healing does not come from forcing change or trying to erase the past. It comes from creating repeated experiences of safety moments where the body can feel at ease, where there is no need to be on guard. In those moments, the nervous system begins to soften its protective patterns and explore new possibilities. Love plays a central role in this process, not as a feeling that needs to be perfect, but as a consistent presence that the baby can rely on. Love is expressed through warmth, through touch, through responsiveness, and through the simple act of being there again and again. Consistent connection builds trust over time. When a baby's needs are met with care, when signals are answered with attention, the baby begins to internalize a sense of reliability. This consistency becomes the foundation upon which emotional safety is built. And through it all, perfection is never the requirement. What matters most is attunement, the ability to notice, to feel, and to respond with presence, to be with the baby in a way that is genuine and connected, even when it is not perfect, because the baby does not need perfection. It needs to feel that it is seen, that it matters, and that someone is there. In this way, healing is not a single moment, but a gradual unfolding. A series of small, meaningful experiences that together create a new sense of safety in the body. And in that process, both mother and baby are learning something profound. That connection can be safe, that love can be steady, and that even after stress, there is always the possibility of returning to a place of calm, presence, and trust. Here's a deeper, more soothing script you can use for mom and baby bonding. Sit or lie down in a comfortable position. Place one hand on your heart and one hand gently on your belly. Close your eyes softly and take a slow, deep breath in and a long, gentle breath out. Again, inhale slowly and exhale, letting your body soften. Now bring your awareness to your body. Feel the contact between your hands and your body. Feel the warmth, the gentle touch. This is your safe space. Imagine a soft, warm light forming in your heart. A light filled with love, safety, and calm. With every breath in, this light grows brighter. With every breath out, this light gently flows down into your belly. Now bring your attention to your baby. You don't need to see or hear anything. Just feel the presence. Imagine your baby resting safely inside you, surrounded by warmth, protection, and love. In your mind, silently say to your baby, "You are safe. You are loved. I am here with you. We are connected." Feel your breath slowing. Feel your body softening. Feel your baby responding to your calm energy. Every inhale nourishes both of you. Every exhale releases tension, fear, or stress. Now gently imagine a soft golden cord of light connecting your heart to your baby's heart. This cord is filled with love, trust, and safety. With each breath, this connection becomes stronger, more peaceful, more secure. Stay here for a few moments, simply breathing, being present, not trying to do anything, just being together. When you are ready, begin to bring your awareness back to your body. Feel your hands, your breath, your surroundings, and gently open your eyes. Take a moment to acknowledge you have just created a space of safety, love, and connection for your baby Dot. Thank you for listening. I'm Mia, and I hope we all continue to grow into relationships that feel safe, loving, and deeply fulfilling ****. And for the mother, this presence is also a return to breath, to awareness, to this simple act of being. It is not about being perfect, but about being real. And in that authenticity, something quiet and powerful is shared. A sense of safety, connection, and deep, unspoken understanding.